Hello people of YouTube. The cold weather is starting to subside, and so my basement is not such a miserable place to be, and I've had a few project ideas that I'm wanting to finish. So here I am again. Sorry for the break, but it was just too cold, and I could bring some kind of heat down here maybe. I feel it would be a little wasteful, and I'm too cheap. So here we go. One of the things that I really want to accomplish, and this is based on advice from some of the people that have made comments on my YouTube channel on the videos, and I appreciate those comments, is to use more of my miter gauge on my table saw. Furthermore, to make a fence on it. So that's what I plan to do. I've got this board left over from when I put together the tool stand for the router table, and I figured that would be a good place to start. It's plyboard, but I don't see why it wouldn't work just for a simple fence, and I'm essentially just going to cut it a little bit shorter so it'll fit, because right now it's too tall to fit under the mechanism. So I'll cut it shorter. I'm going to line it up so it hangs over a little bit, mark the holes, drill them, and I've got some screws. I went to the hardware store yesterday and I searched around and found screws that would actually fit in the grooves. The way my miter saw was set, or the way my miter is set up, I could potentially just lift this up and out. And then first I'm going to get this put together. And then at some point I'm going to look for solid wood, thinking of making an adjustable miter fence. Tossing the idea around. But I want to just do a simple one. And that way, you make your one cut and it leaves a mark. And then I'll always know where my piece is going to cut at, so I can line it up with that mark in the miter tape or miter fence. The adjustable one, I'm worried if I go back and forth too much, it might trim too much out, but one step at a time. Let me just make this real simple one and we'll continue on. So for starters, here's my miter. Here's the board I have. It's too tall to fit over here. So I need to cut it at least short enough. At least short enough I can slide it under there, maybe even clear that. So what I'm going to do, take a little measurement here. See how tall we're dealing with. I think 4.5 would be good. Set this to about 4.5. And then I'm just gonna run it through here, trim it down. There we go, it fits. This will get me more than enough room. I'm going to set the vents. I'm going to put this in the other track. That's as far over as it goes. I'm going to set the fence right up against it, because I can just use the miter on this side if this fence is this far over, but anything shorter I can't. So what I'm going to do, slide this back over here and put it against that fence with a little bit of a gap so it doesn't, right against it. And hold this right here and use this owl or pokey thing to make a mark. Give it a little tap. And we set it over here. Give it a tap. Now to the drill press. Got the board cut out, but before I go drilling holes, I need to accomplish a couple of things. I need to decide or find the right size drill bit so I can drill a hole that, number one, the bolt can go through. That's one size. And number two, I need to drill a larger hole so that the bolt will sit down into the wood and it'll still be flush. So I've done that. I found the 2 drill bits I need. I've drilled this, and then I've found the depth that I need, which is a little deeper than I would like. So the bolts are a little shorter than they should be. I've had to drill the hole a little deeper, but it should still work. There should still be enough wood there. We'll make it work. I found the correct size for the screw, the correct size so the washer and bolt will fit down in there. But before I drill either one of those, I need to drill a pilot hole. Got the bit in there, a really small bit, and I'm using it to drill a pilot hole straight through so I have a hole to guide the next 2. Because once I drill one hole, it's going to be more difficult to center the other, but if I have a tiny little pilot hole to line the tip up with, then that will help. This one I need to set the depth again. Now to drill the larger holes. Use that little pilot hole to get it centered. And now the smaller hole for the bolt itself. Line it up with the pilot hole. So in my infinite wisdom, I neglected one small step, and that is to flip the board over after drilling the pilot hole. I should have flipped it over, and then I would have lined the holes up correctly. Unfortunately, it shifted a little to the left, leaving a gap. Not the biggest deal in the world. That's still a nice fence. It still covers a lot of area. I think it will still work. Trial and error. I could redo and drill the holes in the proper location, but I'm not going to bother, because trial and error, that's what it's about. I'm going to use this for now. I'm going to bolt it in like it is, use it for now, and see what other problems I may run into or what other advice people give me before I go buy a nice piece of wood and make the miter fence that I want and round it off and make it look nice. So this will be a start. I'm going to throw this together, slide the screws in the front, washer and a wing nut on the back. And I wasn't initially going to go with the wing nut, but I had trouble finding the right size bolt. Seen the wing nuts and thought, you know, I'll just do that. Especially if I'm going to make it adjustable. So I'm not sure if making one that slides back and forth is a good idea. Probably. Give it some consideration. I am very open to suggestions and advice, because really I've learned a lot of what little I know from watching YouTube. So I raise that up and make one cut through it. There's the fence. It'll be a little bit safer when I go to do cross cutting. So now I have a miter fence, and this will be a nice alternative to the sled, especially for larger or longer pieces. It'll keep me safer, maybe even allow me to do better work. If you have any advice to give, I'm all ears. I appreciate the constructive comments that people leave. They've helped me out. They've given me ideas and give me things to look for and to do to make myself safer and what I'm doing look better. So I'm all ears. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, or advice, and stay creative.